everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making velvet scrunchies. I really like these because they don't leave that awkward crimp in my hair and they're super easy to make. So that's what we're going to do today. You can do two different sizes. I have on my shop a 6-inch size that's a lot tighter. It holds a lot better, so if I'm really active, I'm going to work out, I use the tighter scrunchie. And then just around the house and everything, I really like to use the 8-inch scrunchies. So I'm going to teach you guys how to use the 8-inch elastics. That's what everything that I do will be on, but everything is the same for the 6-inch except for measuring the initial elastic. So materials that you're going to need some Bernat's Velvet yarn. You can find it at Joann's or Michael's, and it comes in many different colors. I really like this teal, so that's what we're going to use today. And you're going to need 1/4-inch elastic. It comes in rolls like this. You can also find it at any craft store, or if you really want to use your own elastics, you can get elastics at Walmart just on a pack like this. I don't like using these because the ties don't hold very well after use for a while. You know, I mean, I'm sure you guys have used hair ties for a while and they snap, and this holds a lot stronger and a lot better once you sew it. So, but that's on personal preference. The way you do it will be the same whether or not you use 1/4-inch elastic or those elastics. You need scissors, thread, preferably in a color close to the color of your elastic, needles, 1 needle, a measuring tape for measuring your elastic to cut, and a 5mm needle. And with that, I think we'll get started. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Grab your measuring tape and lay it out and get your elastic, and you want it to be roughly 8 inches. So go ahead and measure that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but go ahead and cut off that 8 inches. And make sure you have a 1/4-inch elastic, because a 1/2 inch was definitely too big with my first round of scrunchies that I made, and it just looked really awkward. So 1/4 inch is definitely the way to go. We're going to overlap the elastic about 1 inch of overlap. Doesn't have to be perfect, but that'll give us a really good basis to sew on and keep it secure for many different wears of your scrunchies. So now you need your needle and a decent amount of thread. An overhand knot at the very end. I like to snip off the excess really close to the knot, just because with this pattern it's really easy to see all of the little strings, and it's a little bit hard to weave in a ton of little strings, so the less that you have to deal with at the end, the better. We have this first stitch in, I can go ahead and take that pin out because it'll just get in the way. And now we're going to just do little diagonal lines all across this 1 inch of overlap to secure the elastic together to make it a strong bond. If you have a sewing machine and you're doing lots of these, I would definitely recommend just doing a zigzag all across both ways with a sewing machine, but I'm just making one today, so it's way easier for me to just use hand sewing, and this makes it just as secure. It just goes a little bit faster with a sewing machine. And make sure you leave a little bit of space between your diagonal lines, because we're coming back through with little X's. I want to have plenty of space for them. All right, back the other way. Promise, we're getting to the crocheting part soon. All right. Now that is secure, you can test it and see if that is as secure as you like it to be. I am happy with how this turned out, so I'm going to go ahead and tie mine off. Once again, it is really nice not to have a bunch of strings coming out of your scrunchie, so I try to tie my knot as close as I possibly can. The first one that I did, this one right here, I wasn't happy with how close it was, so I went ahead and tied a second knot and positioned it really, really close to my scrunchie, so that it wouldn't have as large of a tail on the elastic. I have heard from a lot of other crocheters that they like to use fabric glue sometimes waterproof fabric glue, that to go ahead and put just a little bit on their ends whenever they weave them in. So that's a really good tip to keep them secure and keep them from falling out whenever you're washing them or anything like that. But very secure, good to go. It will last many, many wears. And now we're going to take our yarn, and I just tie a double knot, a square knot. And I don't really like weaving in ends, so I always, if I can, just crochet over the ends so they're already woven in for me. But of course, if you want to leave that, you can just let the tail hang. So pull up a hook, pull up a loop, and then we are going to single crochet all across this piece of elastic. And make sure that if you're weaving over your tail, that it all stays in there, and you can cut off any excess that doesn't want to stay in there. Once again, this would be a really good time to use that waterproof fabric glue if you wanted to keep that end nice and tight on there. And we're just going to single crochet all across this entire band of elastic. And you're going to try to keep all of your stitches facing on the same side of the elastic, just so that your scrunchie doesn't look super wonky. But once you get past the first few stitches, it really becomes a lot easier. So all right, welcome back. We have now done all of our single crochets all across. Notice how it's a little bit ruffled already, and so there's some good texture going on already. And we're just going to keep single crocheting all across. Notice how I am pushing the stitches up against each other. That creates the really good texture and ruffled look to have the stitches all really, really close together. And whenever somebody's stretching out your scrunchie, they're not going to see a ton of elastic because your stitches are super tight and can stand to be stretched a little bit. So for good measure. And now we're going to find the first stitch that we did right there, and you're going to slip stitch to that first single crochet. So just pull through both loops and chain 2, and then we're going to double crochet in every single stitch. And you're going to double crochet 2 in each stitch. This will give you the really awesome textured look that you are looking for. And just go all the way around, and we'll be right back. All right, congrats on finishing all of those double crochets. Now we've just got a few left. 2 in each row. I love, love, love the texture of this scrunchie. It just looks so fun, and the ruffles are super fun to play with. This is a really great quick project to do whenever you have just a little bit of time on your hand. And I like to sew all of the elastics all in one and just have them laying about, so when I get some extra time in between school and homework, I can just sit down and whip out a scrunchie really quick. All right, we're done with all of our double crochets. Now you're going to cut off a decent sized tail, because we're going to want to weave in the ends and finish off. So I always go to the back stitch right before the loop that I am using and pull through another loop. I actually messed up on this one and pulled the wrong loop. As you can see, I start pulling and it's not coming, and I figure out that I pulled up the wrong loop. So I just undid a few stitches. That's always okay to do. And I just recrocheted them. And that is the beauty of crocheting, is if you mess up, you can always frog it just a little bit and just redo those stitches. All right, so now we'll join and then finish off by creating a knot by pulling through the back stitch. Just pull that tail, pull the knot tight. It's not coming undone. And you have your scrunchie. Now let's weave in those ends. Okay, you're going to need a craft needle for this, and I just got mine at Hobby Lobby, this particular one, but it's big enough for the yarn to fit through. And you're just going to bring the yarn tail through that double crochet that you have right there until you get to the band, the elastic band. And now you're just going to run that tail at least 3 times over through that band. 3 times is the magic number to really lock in a tail. This would be a good time to use your fabric glue if you really wanted to lock it in and make it permanent. And you can always knot on the band as well if you want to make it super secure. But 3 times is the magic number. It really locks in that stitch. And then I always like to pull it tight before I cut it so that I can make sure I can stretch the scrunchie out the other way and pull that whatever tiny end is left right back out. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and see, I tugged that end and it's pretty securely in there, so it didn't give that much, but cut as close as you can and then just work it in. And there you go, you have your scrunchie. And that is how you make a velvet scrunchie. If you have any questions, let me know down below. I hope that your scrunchies turned out beautiful and just what you were wanting. And if you liked this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up down below and subscribe if this channel seems like something that you would enjoy. Next week, we are going to be doing twisted headbands because it's still really cold. And I'm really excited for that. I post every Thursday, so stay tuned. Thanks, everybody. Bye.